הימים יגידו, חברים יעידו, שאהבתי אותך. הימים יגידו, חברים יעידו, שאהבתי אותך. את ליבי נתתי, את נשמתי עיניתי, התאהבתי בך. את ימי שרפתי, עיניים לא עצמתי, כל גופי רק...
Shalom, shalom, shalom. My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to this episode of the 12 Cities in Israel podcast. As I said, you're sitting here with Michael Sahno, and we are going to talk about Israel. All right, so before we get rolling into episode what? 15! Yes, episode 15. We are going to give a couple shout-outs from our sponsors, people we love. Our first one is from iConnect. iConnect, engagement with Israel that earns you rewards. Earn points and connect with Israel with articles, games, quizzes, polls, and more. So what exactly is iConnect? Well, iConnect is a social gaming platform where you can play, earn points, and receive cool prizes all for free. Their goal is to help you stay connected with Israel no matter where on the globe you are. Now, why should you play? Well, because iConnect introduces you to a unique way to acquaint yourself with all things Israel while working towards winning once-in-a-lifetime experiences. So head on over to www.iconnect.co.il. That's www.iconnect.co.il and start playing now. Our next one is from Israel Phones. Israel Phones is the leading provider of communications devices for people traveling to Israel. Israel Phones offers SIM cards, MiFi devices, which are mobile Wi-Fi hotspots, travel products, and serve the connectivity needs of tour groups, synagogues, schools, community missions, study programs, and individuals, supplying you with international prepaid SIM card, cell phones, and USB portable modem hotspot rentals. Right now, because of watching this show, yes, you, viewers and listeners, Israel Phones will give you a free SIM card, which is a $15 value. If you spend $30 or more on their site, all you have to do to get this deal is to use the coupon code 12 Cities in Israel. That's all one word, no spaces, and with the number 2, not written out, TWEL, no, 12 Cities in Israel, when checking out on your next order. So for more information on what Israel Phones can do for you and to get this great deal, please visit www.israelphones.com. Head on over to www.israelphones.com. Okay. Wow. Episode 14. Or 15. Sorry. Hi. Episode 15. Yeah. So we're chugging along. I'm psyched. I'm excited. We've got a lot to cover this episode. It's gonna be a weird segue. So what I'm gonna talk about the upcoming event that I have coming in February. And I'm also going to discuss. It's gonna sound like it's not related, but I'm also gonna discuss Yaffo, okay, or as it is colloquially known, Jaffa. So, yes, but it is known in Israel as Yaffo. So I'm gonna, at the break, when I do the second set of shout outs to the sponsors, I'm gonna I've been thinking about this all day. I'm gonna wrap it into Yaffo. Trust me, it's gonna work. You just gotta sit tight. And for those of you who watch the This Is Haifa episode, which Haifa's coming up. I can see on the screen right now. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. That is the Baha'i Gardens, the steps of the Baha'i. And in the center, as you can see from last episode, I spoke about the mausoleum, and there's the beautiful beautiful panorama looking out onto the Mediterranean. Well, for those of you who followed me in my walkthrough, my verbal walkthrough on Haifa, I'm going to do sort of the same thing on Yaffo. It's going to be a little bit different, though. But, as I said, I'm going to start it out by talking about the event that I'm having, about the upcoming trip that I'm making to Israel in February. So funny thing about that, I get to do an awesome shout out to my wife. Hold on just one sec. We're going to take a sip of coffee. Peter, this is for you. All right, so, wow, that's really good. I love that coffee. So, all right, so I have to give a shout out to my wife, Stephanie Ann Sahno. You are a rock star. Thank you so much. My anniversary just passed on the 28th yesterday, and we went out, and while we were at lunch, at our anniversary lunch, it was nice. She handed me an envelope, and inside the envelope had a blank check, and which ironically was one of my checks, said Michael Sahno at the top. But she handed it to me as a gesture saying, I need you to buy your ticket. I don't know, for those of you who haven't been following, all of this is out of pocket. Everything that I do here for the podcast, for the travel show, it's all out-of-pocket investment. So as a gesture of support, my wife handed me a check and said, I need you to buy the ticket. And I need you to do it because you need to understand that I have faith in you, that I support you, that what you're doing is valid. And wow, heartstrings. That was awesome. That was so great. The fact that she did that, I was speechless as a boy who is, when boys are around girls, they don't know what to say. So I was dumbfounded. I was speechless. And yeah, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. Sorry, Gal Gadot. I'm married. So, but wow, I'm still like shocked by that, which reminds me, as soon as I get done doing this, I got to go online and buy a ticket. So rolling back to what I was talking about, I'm flying in February, as I told previous viewers and listeners and viewers. None are greater than the other. My YouTube audience isn't greater than my SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify and all of my other audiences. You guys are all important to me, which is why I'm doing this. And I am flying to Tel Aviv in February, the 10th through the 20th. I'm going to be staying at the Sea Executive Suites in the business suite. It's going to be awesome. It's pretty pimp. It's really nice. I've stayed in it before. And I'm going to be interviewing a virtual who's who of Israeli society. And when I say that, before, when I've been doing this podcast and talking about since development of that idea and reaching out on the phone and telling you guys that, I've been very ambiguous about it. I've been very vague about it. I've been like that on purpose. I feel comfortable enough at this point. And I don't know. All right, so I don't know if I was vague about it because then I could always back out. But now I've got this list of people who have committed. I've even got people who said, okay, I'll meet you on this date. All right. It's February. I don't know what I'm doing in February other than I'm going to be there. If I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't know what I was doing in February otherwise, as I'm sure most people probably don't. But some of these people are incredibly organized, and I can learn a thing or two from them. But I am going to, so I'm going to let you know who a couple of them are. And just to give you an update, out of the 24 I have planned an absolute 24 interviews in this 10 days. Okay? So that's 3 interviews a day, may even run up to 4, depending on what I'm doing, may even run up to 5, depending on the day and when people are available. But I've committed myself to, at a minimum, 24 interviews. I'll probably move that up to 30 just to give myself some buffer. But what's cool, out of those 24, I already have 18 committed interviewees for the show. So I already have locked in 18 interviews. Whoa. How cool is that? I'm going to run down a couple of them. Some of them you may not know. Some of them you may know. Some of them you may go, whoa, how'd you get that person? All of them by March of next year. Well, no. By next year, you'll know all of them. And you will be, I pray, you'll be as fascinated with these people afterwards as I have become over the years. So just to give you some of the names, and I'm going to describe what some of the people do. First and foremost, and this one I'm really, I'm going to say first, I'm going to say I'm so proud of getting this. You know what? Honestly, that's BS. I'm proud of all of them. All of them, to me, are as important as the next. But I'm just excited when I think of some of these names. The first one, I have Doron Almog, and a lot of you may not know who Doron Almog is. He is, and I'd like you to do this. I'd like you to check him out. He did a TED Talk. There was a TED Talk in Tel Aviv, and he is known for his speech that he gave. He is a retired general from the IDF who left, and I hope I'm getting this right, he left to move on to head an organization called Aloe, and I talk about Aloe in my podcast, to build and develop these villages for the special needs individuals in Israeli society. And it's really funny because when you think about it, a place where they can be taken care of if they have needs that need to be taken care of 24/7. They get a full education. They get it's phenomenal that they've taken. And all right, so this is important. These villages are not campuses away from society. So in the past, in the United States and in most places throughout the world, we've taken our people who have special needs and we've housed them on campuses that were away from society. These are in society. So this one, I'm if you're watching the video, you can see me. I'm grinning from ear to ear. They have a regular, I think it's an elementary school. I know for sure that it's a preschool inside this village for children who have no special needs. And children at a very young age are taught to understand that these are members of our society and that he's like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. That warms my heart. because I find those with special needs to be angels that are just wow. So he's coming on. It's a big honor to have him on. My best friend, yeah, of course, nepotism. Anyone? My my best friend Moti Biton is coming on. I cannot wait to introduce all of you to my brother Achi Moti Biton, because I met him at Ben Gurion University. He's actually responsible for the dormitory complex. This man's amazing. He can do anything. If you say he is the type of individual that if you need a project done, you need a project planned, you need anything taken care of, he's the man who can do it. He is just phenomenal. He's ridiculously phenomenal. And he is also a big father to all of these kids at Ben Gurion University. They come to him whenever they need anything. And it's this personality and this just wonderful character trait that he has that allowed me to get to know him when I was at Ben Gurion University. And his stories are, he's Sephardi, Moroccan Jew. His parents are from Morocco. I'm pretty sure. And he's just got an entire he's got so many stories. It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to love him. I have an award-winning DJ, Aviel Brandt, who's coming on. He owns Alpha Music in Tel Aviv, and if you have the opportunity, which I know you do, go on to YouTube and look up Aviel Brandt. And all these names, I'm going to put most of these names down in the bottom. Some of them I won't. But you want to check him out because he's got plus he gives insight into something that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's the huge wedding DJ industry that exists in Israel. The marriage customs in Israel versus the United States are vastly, wholly different, with people getting married younger, starting their lives together younger. And he has a key role in that by being the DJ. Because if you pick a shitty DJ, if you pick a crappy DJ, you're not doing too well. And some of these guys command like really big sums. So I've got him. I have Neely Kane. Neely Kane, I've spoken about her before. She is a friend of mine, a wonderful friend of mine who I also met at Ben Gurion University. She is a high school teacher. She's an educator. And what we're going to be talking about is the transition of Israeli adolescent to Israeli adult through the lens of the test. So she at 16, I'm pretty sure it's at 16 you take a test in Israel, and that defines what your role in the IDF or the Air Force or the Navy or whatever you choose, border police, is going to be. And she's there to witness this, and I want to hear her insights into, her personal experience with it versus her experience as a part of the process. So that's going to be fabulous. I also have, and this is funny, Rachel Karmi is actually Moti, my friend's sister. So she is a special needs educator. If you'll notice, I'm it means a lot to me, those who take care of our special needs members of our society. And she is going to tell me about what Israel does in the classroom, how we teach, how Israel teaches its special needs students, and what the difficulties are, what the joys are. And I'm actually really excited to bring that, because I can bring you big slices. I can bring you these huge slices of Israeli society, but if I can also bring you the smaller, real aspects of what Israel is, I give you a fuller picture. And Raquel will help me give you a fuller picture. This one I'm really excited about, and I think you guys are going to be really excited about. I have Corey Gil Schuster coming on. Now, Corey Gil Schuster, for those of you who have ever done a search of Israel, you've most likely come across some of his videos. He has this wonderful project. He's an academic. He's a college professor, and he has the Ask a Palestinian, Ask an Israeli project. So people from all over the world email him, submit questions about questions they have about Israel. Some are bananas, some are just purely political questions. Some are personality questions, like one, why are Israelis so rude? I remember that one. Or it's something along those lines. And then it's fascinating. And to be able to talk to him about here's a guy who has stories. He has thousands upon thousands of interviews and footage to go with it. And I'm curious to see what left a mark, So I'm really excited about that one. Who else do we have? We have Shoshana Keats-Jaskell, someone who is, she is a blogger for the Times of Israel. She is an advocate. She's awesome. She's like a real life Wonder Woman. She's an advocate for women in the religious community. So there's a couple of things going on. So there's Agunot, and she works on behalf of Agunot. Agunot are, it's chained women. Women who are chained to a marriage because their husbands won't allow for a divorce. I think I've spoken about this before in religious Judaism. And it translates into secular Judaism. But traditionally, Jews, when they get married, they have to get the consent. Well, no, they get a ketubah, and that's a marriage document. It's a contract, actually. And if they want to get divorced in Jewish custom, you need to get what is called a get from the husband. And that's an agreement to divorce. Without it, you remain married. My opinion on it is it's archaic and doesn't take the woman into account. But that's my opinion. Other people may disagree with it, and you're welcome to your opinion. But anything that suppresses a woman the way being an agonot is despicable to me. And Shoshana, what? She fights on their behalf, and I'm very proud to have her on the show. She also works in another area where, and I was never aware of this until she started posting it on her Instagram, or maybe it was her Facebook I saw it on. But in the Orthodox community, in the extremely religious community, women are not allowed to be shown. So if there's an ad for women's clothing, there will be a picture of a boy or a man, which is totally bonkers. And she's working to get women visible again. So I'm really excited about having Shoshana on the podcast. Somebody else we're having is a comedian. Her name is Molly Livingstone, and she is freaking hilarious. She's awesome. She's so much fun. So I used to watch this. It's not a podcast. There used to be this thing called The Voice of Israel. And The Voice of Israel. So hold on. I'm going to have a sip. So The Voice of Israel was interesting because there were a lot of people who leaned heavily right on it. But they always took the chance to pull someone in who had an objective left opinion. They wouldn't shy away from it. And they were very respectful about it too, which I was impressed by. I told you guys I'm dead center. Boom. I believe what I believe, and I believe some people are knuckleheads, and they're knuckleheads on left and the right. But I used to watch this, and she would appear, and biggest smile I've ever seen in my entire life. Always lit up the room. And for the longest time, she would be a political commentator on this show called The 5 at 5, and I had no idea she was a comedian, and that's so embarrassing. I'm so, but I've watched a bunch of her stuff, and she's incredibly hilarious. Go on YouTube, check her out. We're excited to have her here. Well, I'm ecstatic. I think it's going to be such a fun conversation. Another friend of mine, Huma Moore. There's a lot of races in there, so that one might be difficult for some people. Her name is Huma Moore, and this is going to be an exciting one because she's a paramedic for Magen David Adom, the ambulance service. It's sort of like the National Ambulance Service, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That one's going to be really, really, really interesting because she's going to give us insight into just so many little different tiny facets of Israeli society. I'm looking at the clock, and I'm only at number 10. Hadar Rabinowitz, she's going to be on. She is an artist, an amazing artist from Beersheba that I met a number of years ago. She actually has a fascinating story. She turned her studio into a school, sort of. She uses art in education for small children. She's supremely gifted, supremely talented. She's a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. And she's got this big mess of red hair, which is hilarious. But beautiful. Not saying anything mean. I also have Daniel Seaman, who is a journalist, who is also not ironically, pulling from the same pool, who is also coincidentally, better use. Coincidentally, I found out about him at the same time I found out about Molly Livingstone. They were both on that show. He is a rapier. Just a literal sharp debater. He is amazing. He used to work in the Netanyahu administration in the public affairs office. He was the head of it. Not in the current one, but in his original, when Netanyahu originally was prime minister that first time. So it's just wow to get a peek into what was going on, and his life is really fascinating as well. I also have the illustrious Stav Shafir. She is a member of Knesset. She is, if I'm not mistaken, she is the youngest member to ever be elected. And she is a firebrand. She goes after corruption wherever she sees it. I'm a super huge fan of hers. I like her style. I like the fact that she, no holds barred, you're doing this. There are photos of her being dragged out of cabinet meetings because she's fearless. She's awesome. She deserves respect. I have another friend of mine, Yaada Shalev, and she, if you've ever gone on the Hebrew Pod 101, if you've ever gone looking up Hebrew on YouTube, you've come across, hey, this is Yaada. She's awesome. She's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. She's also one of the smartest people I've ever met. She's coming on the show. I also have Edith Schlanger, and she is a marketing manager in Israel, and she is going to talk to us about women in the workplace and what the struggles are for women. If are they similar to the struggles that women have in the United States? Women have a very prominent role in the business world in Israel, and I want to get her take on it. I'm actually really excited to have her on. Another friend of mine, Abigail Spero. Spero. Am I saying that right? Spero. She. So everything that's magic in Hollywood, somebody builds it. And she is paving the way as one of the few women who work in the entertainment industry building sets. So she pulls her weight with all of them. She's a rock star. She's amazing. And she's actually just one of the greatest people I've ever met. And I'm really excited to have her on. Sarah Tuttle Singer. She is a journalist and a blogger for the Times of Israel. She has a unique insight. She made Aliyah. She's a great story, actually. So she made Aliyah with her husband, and then he left with 2 small children he left her with. And she, in a country where she didn't really know the language, was all of a sudden on her own from America, and she's another firebrand. She's someone who's all go, no quit. And just an impressive person. And I'm so excited to have her on. I have Tomer Yosef coming on. Now, Tomer Yosef is the lead singer of one of my favorite bands, Balkan Beatbox. And I just, whoa! I'm so excited. So excited. My wife and I went to see him when they were in Brooklyn with a friend of mine, Charlotte. They're amazing. Go online right now. Go to iTunes, buy every song by Balkan Beatbox and Tomer Yosef. They're amazing. And then finally, lastly on this list, I have a wonderful and dear friend of mine, Alexandra Zaslav. And she just made Aliyah last year. She just moved to Israel from the United States. She is a ballerina. And she told me she's not working for a company right now. She's no longer dancing professionally. But now she works in a nonprofit that promotes peace through dance between Arabs and Israelis. And it's going to be phenomenal. All right, we are actually past the half hour, so I have to hit a couple of these ads and hold on tight. So my first one is one that I really love, Neviot flavored water. Nature at its best taste. Neviot delivers you with a true combination of health and pleasure. It's based on Neviot natural mineral water, one of its kind in Israel. It's enhanced with 5 B group vitamins. It's naturally sweetened. It is low in calories, only 35 to 40 calories per 8 fluid ounces. There's no preservatives. There are no color additives. It is available in delicious, indulging flavors, apple, peach, which I have in my hand, and grape. If you're in Israel, you should be drinking Neviot. For more information, check out their website at www.neviotglobal.com/en/home. That's www.neviotglobal.com/en/home. As soon as this episode's done, this bottle will be gone because my son will tear through it, but that's okay. because I bought more. Where did I buy more? Well, at our next sponsor, Makolet Online. Makolet Online's main goal is to make Israeli groceries and Judaic products affordable and available to everyone in the USA and Canada. Their online store carries items that are unavailable in most places in North America, things like tahini, Israeli chocolates, frozen borekas, and the Neviat water that we are drinking here today. At Makolet Online, you will find your favorite Israeli goods or simply enjoy brand new flavors. All of their products are kosher, and most are manufactured in Israel. If you want the tastes of Israel delivered to your home, visit www.makoletonline.com. That's www.makoletonline.com and order today. For an added For an added bonus, if you use the code 12 Cities in Israel, just like the other code, 12 Cities in Israel, all one word, no spaces, you will receive 15% off of your entire purchase. It's legit. It's awesome. You need to go there now. So again, visit www.makoletonline and order today. And today, from Makolet Online, we have, actually, it's pretty fun. My son's going to lose his mind. Sappe Aloe Vera water. So it's the kind with the little, I don't know if you can see it on the video. If you're on the podcast, I'll tell you it's the aloe water with the little tiny gelatin chunks in it. He is going to lose his mind over this. So yeah, head on over there. I'll put a link to it in the description below the video on the YouTube version of this. So Sappe Aloe water. Check it out. All right. Give me 1 sec. Let me take another sip of my coffee. Yeah, all these drinks, all the Neviot and Sappe are all making me thirsty. So, all right. So I said, after I told you what the episode was about, that I was going to make, yay, Tel Aviv, that I was going to segue from what I was doing in February to Yaffo, Jaffa. Here we go. This is the big, the big attempt. So, one of the first things that I did when I stayed at the Sea Executive Suites was step out and go to the beach, because it's right across the street. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's literally, if you're watching the video, this street right here, it just disappeared. So the street's right outside the hotel front door. It is literally less than 20 feet away. So my wife and I went out and we walked down that street and walked out to the street and walked out to the beach. And if you're standing at the beach, if you look down to the south, you can see Old Yaffo. Now, for those of you who don't know what Old Yaffo or Jaffa is, it's probably one of the oldest continuing functioning ports in the world ever, of all time. So if you want to, so there's something interesting. So if you go to Israel, you are given wonderful opportunities to step back in time. When you go to Jerusalem, you are walking on stones that people walked on, you know, that Bar Kokhba, maybe, or trying to think of someone else, that people might, well, regardless, 2,000 years ago, temple priests walked on some of the stones that you can walk on now. The same goes for Yaffo. So it is true, Tel Aviv is a new city. It was made out of Moshav, which is a farm that was sort of like a little outpost. So Jews who moved to Ottoman Jerusalem district, which is what it was before. So before the Palestinian Mandate, the Mandate Palestine, which was set up at the end of World War I, and you had the Lebanon Mandate and the Palestine Mandate. Or actually, I think the words were reversed. Mandate Palestine, Mandate Lebanon. And before that, this whole area was part of something called the Jerusalem District in the Ottoman Empire. That's all it was called. It wasn't called Palestine. It wasn't called anything else. It was literally, for taxable purposes in the Ottoman Empire, known as the Jerusalem District. So when people, and one of the people that I want to interview, I have 6 more slots for people to interview. One of them, he's a descendant of one of the, and this is so fascinating, he's a descendant of one of the individuals who founded Tel Aviv, who was on that moshav, who was on that farm. And that farm would go back and forth between Yaffo and where it was to get supplies, to get fish, to get food, to get flour, to get everything that they needed. And, we're looking at Yaffo right now. All right. Sorry, for those of you who are watching, who aren't watching the YouTube podcast, it showed up on my. I have a TV screen that has a slideshow of all the 12 cities from 12 cities in Israel, and Yaffo is on the screen right now. So Tel Aviv was established, I think it was in the early 1900s. At the latest, there were people there in the late 1900s, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's early 1900s. And that's when the moshav was established. That's when the farm was established by immigrants from Eastern Europe. These Maskalim, I spoke about that a bunch of episodes back. Men who wanted to, individuals, men and women, who wanted to be pioneers in the land of Israel. And there were 2 ports of entry into Old Israel, into the Jerusalem district. Actually, I think the other port wasn't in the Jerusalem district, but it's now a part of Israel. So there was Yaffo and Haifa, and those were the 2 main ports during the Ottoman Empire for this area of the Levant. And Yaffo, though, goes way farther back and has been stepped on by everyone from Caesar to Napoleon. And when I mean stepped on, I don't mean crushed. In some cases, it was crushed. But I mean their feet were on the stones that you're walking on. So when you go to Yaffo, you're in history. Whereas, like, in Tel Aviv, you're in a place that might have been a marsh at one point because there was a river going through part of it. And no one was there. You could have been, literally, there were spots in Tel Aviv prior to it being Tel Aviv, prior to it being the Moshav, where you could probably literally say, I bet you nobody's ever stepped in this exact spot right here ever before. And you, for all intents and purposes, could be 100% right. That is not the case in Yaffo. And interestingly, and this is why I implore and strongly suggest that people use Yaffo instead of Jaffa, because of where the name comes from. So Yaffo, which is the name, comes from the Hebrew root, are you ready for this? Beautiful. Yaffo, Yaffa, Yofi, which is Hebrew for beautiful. And if you've ever been there or seen pictures of it, it's awesome. It's so much fun. So when we stepped out of the hotel, we walked all the way down, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we crossed this wooden bridge. Yes, a wooden bridge to get over to this beach in northern Yaffo. Like, you have this enormous beach in Tel Aviv, and then you have this little comfortable beach, which is packed with people. And over it, there is this little driving overlook that drives into where the port is. And when you get to the port, you really feel like you are in this beautiful. You really feel. I sound like an ass. You are in this beautiful, beautiful Mediterranean port that still every morning brings in fish for all the restaurants in Tel Aviv and in Yaffo. Because that's the other thing you notice as soon as you get, if you walk in that way, if you walk in south along the beach from Tel Aviv, it meanders and it comes and it gets to this area where these walls, houses, buildings abut right to a road and the water. And it's awesome. And right there's some stuff, and I didn't do it, and I'm so regretful for not doing it. And I think I'm going to do it in February. But the only thing is, I would be doing it in February. And that is these little boat tours. So, I don't know anyone who's listening or watching, if you've been to New York City, you can take boat tours, and you can cruise around, and you can go up the Hudson River, go around the East River, and they point out everything, and they tell you where everything is. You could do the same thing in Yaffo, for Yaffo and Tel Aviv, because they're right next to each other. And it goes up and it goes out, and they're on the Mediterranean. It's beautiful. When I was there, I should have done it. The best times to do it, they say, are to do it in the morning, and we just liked laying in bed, so we never got around to doing it. But also right there, which is really, really cool, is these amazing outdoor restaurants, and they're a mixture of seafood and Middle Eastern food, where you'll have so normal fare in most Israeli restaurants that I've been has been the meze, the salads come out, and a whole mix of salads, and the bowls of hummus and falafel, falafelim, tons of falafel, and then fish, and it's just the smells, and all of these restaurants. When we were there, at least, all of these restaurants, the vast majority of them exist outside on the sidewalk. So what's interesting is, if you're in New York City or anywhere else for that matter in the United States, and you go to a restaurant, they'll have maybe 4 or 6 tables outside, and then the rest of the tables will be inside the restaurant. And that is not the case in Yaffo. In Yaffo, there are very few tables inside, and the majority of the tables are outside. So this is the case for most of Israel, but it is definitely prominent when you're in Yaffo. So one more sip of coffee. Sorry. This is really heartbreaking, because all I can think about is all this food now. And then interspersed through all of these restaurants are these little kiosks. The kiosks, that's horribly said. Sorry about that. Are all these little tables that artists have set out. And they're all over the place. They're in the port. They're in the top, up by the bell tower. They're down lower in Yaffo, over by the clock tower. And I'm naming off all of these landmarks, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm really not going to have the time to get to all of them. But what you have to do, and I have to tell you about this. So, in that area where it's abutted, where all the buildings come out to the port, right before you get to the outdoor restaurants, there's a little archway, a little tiny archway. It's nondescript. You'd almost miss it. And this is where the magic of Yaffo is. So when you're in Yaffo and you're walking towards it, you see it meander up this little tiny hill that overlooks the water. And there doesn't look like a real way to get to it. But there is this tiny, tiny little doorway with a stairwell going up it. You go up this stairwell, and it's like being inside a castle. And for those of you who've done it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but like a walled city, like an old ancient walled city from like the middle. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. It's all nice, bright orange stone, and tucked inside all of these these alcoves. Down these little alleys are these alcoves, and inside, when you go in and you step inside, there's this elaborate jewelry store. Like, that was one of the places we walked into. There was this elaborate jewelry store. And at first you think, well, all right, maybe it's just they're selling jewelry, which is nice. But then you go around a corner inside, because it's different caverns, different alcoves inside this larger alcove. And you see women, a group of them, working, creating jewelry right there. So a lot of the art and stuff that you can get, which Yaffo's known for art, known for its gifts, they're all made right there. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. Now that I've tantalized you, I've ran out of time. And Yaffo, if you've gone to Israel and you haven't gone to Yaffo, you suffered for it, because you've missed out on one of the most magical places in all of Israel. On that note, I'm going to tell you about a couple of organizations that mean a lot to me. So I'm going to close out Yaffo, and I'm going to talk about some beautiful groups who do a lot to help a lot of beautiful people. So magic on one to magic on another. And my first one that I'd like to tell you about is Aloe. Aloe helps children with complex disabilities receive state-of-the-art medical, educational, and rehabilitative care in Aloe's 4 facilities. This is the Aloe that the person I told you about, Daron Almog, he's coming on to talk to us. In addition, Aloe provides thousands of outpatient treatments annually. Without Aloe, many of these children would be forced to spend their lives in hospitals with no opportunities for rehabilitation, education, and the love and warmth of a home. Please visit www.aloe.org and see if there is a way that you can help. That's www.aleeh.org, and definitely reach out and give them a hand if you can. The next one I'd like to tell you about is Schneider Children's Medical Center of Israel. It is the only comprehensive tertiary care hospital of its kind in the country and in the Middle East, offering the full range of pediatric disciplines under one roof to all children from 0 to 18. Since its establishment in 1991, Schneider Children's has revolutionized the practice of pediatric medicine in the country and has been recognized as one of the leading pediatric institutions in the world. To see what you can do for them, please visit www.schneider.org.il/ENG. That's www.schneider.org.il/ENG. They're wonderful people, both groups. Definitely, if you can help them out, do that. Okay, now, as I told you in the first half of this, I am going to Israel. I'm going back to Israel in February, and it's all out of pocket. And what I was hoping is that maybe some of you could help me out. I would really appreciate it. If you'd like to, you can go to our website, www.12citiesinisrael.com, and hit the PayPal button. What I ask, though, is $2. If you can get some people together and each of you can donate $2 to what we're trying to do, that would help me with my costs and help me bring this to you. Either way, I'm going to bring it to you, but if you could help, I'd really appreciate it. So it costs, it's probably going to cost me a total of about maybe $12,000 to $15,000 to fund this entire project, this aspect of it. I also want to go back and make the full-length travel show, which we're up to like 1,700 views, almost 2,000 views on that one. You could check that out, and I'll tell you about it in a moment. But we'd like to go back and also make our half-hour travel show about one of the 12 cities that we've chosen, and we'd love your help. If you want to do that and give towards that, that'd be great too. Again, we're asking for $2. If you could do that, hop on over to our website and hit the PayPal button. All right. Thank you so much for joining us for the 12 Cities in Israel podcast. Do not forget to subscribe to our feed and become a part of the 12 Cities in Israel community. So yes, please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You can find this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify. And we'll be bringing you a brand new podcast every week, so keep your eyes out for that. Also, to help support this podcast, you can visit our Patreon page and become a regular donor. You can find that page at www.patreon.com/12 cities in Israel. Also, please visit our YouTube channel where you can see a video version of this podcast. Sorry about that. Also, please visit our YouTube channel where you can see a video version of this podcast, plus other videos that we have produced, including our full-length travel episode of the city of Beersheba in southern Israel. While you're there, share it and subscribe. Check us out at our website, www.12citiesinisrael.com, on our Facebook page, and on Instagram, where every day we post a brand new picture from our Israel travels. My voice is getting a little bit dry from some of this. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you so much. תודה רבה, להתראות, ויאללה ביי.
רק הרען שעובר עוד בגופנו, שמענו את קולך. רק הרען שעובר עוד בגופנו, שמענו את קולך. Shama